Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really cool concept that takes the game of Tetris, something we all know, and completely flips it on its head. It turns it from just a test of your skill into, well, a mirror for your mind. So let's just start with this question. What if the whole point of a game wasn't really to win? What if instead it was designed to reveal how you think? Imagine every single move you make under pressure is actually building a unique map of your own mind. Most games, they judge us on one thing, right? A score, a time, whether you won or lost. It's all about ranking you. But the Tetris maze framework, it has a completely different goal. It's built to map out your unique problem-solving style, creating this multi-dimensional signature of how you operate, instead of just slapping a number on it. And that signature, it has a pretty cool name, your spatial fingerprint. It's this one-of-a-kind pattern of how you build things, how you react when things change, and how you find your way through a world of constraints, all while that clock is ticking down. This is the big idea we're going to unpack. So how in the world does a game actually create a fingerprint of your mind? Well, it all comes down to this simple, but honestly incredibly powerful three-phase loop, where your actions literally build the world you're about to walk through. The whole process breaks down into these three key steps: order, deformation, and constraint. And each one is designed to capture a totally different part of your decision-making. It all starts with something we all recognize, a familiar game of Tetris. You're stacking the pieces, clearing lines, you're making those split-second choices under pressure. This is the order phase, and it's all about capturing how you build structure. But then, this is where things get weird. All of a sudden, the block you're controlling just deforms. It dissolves into this fluid trail of light. They call it a flux trail. And the rules completely change. You're not stacking a solid object anymore. You're basically drawing a path through space. That's the deformation phase. And finally, we have the constraint phase. This is where the system takes everything you just did, that solid stack you built in Tetris, and the fluid path you just carved out, and it uses all that data to generate a completely unique maze. Your maze. So what's the magic doing all this translation? Well, it's a core engine called the Brain Topo Interface, or BTI for short. You can kind of think of it as the system's brain. It reads your entire action history, your choices, your patterns, your style, and it turns all of that into a physical space you can actually walk around in. So here's the absolute key takeaway. You're not just playing some maze that a developer designed for you. No, you are literally building the maze yourself with every single move you make. The hallways, the dead ends, the open spaces, they are a direct reflection of your own thought process. And the system doesn't just create any old generic mazes. It actually generates these different spaces, and each one has its own unique vibe, its own set of what you could call cognitive physics. For instance, your actions might generate a maze inside the desert space. Now, this is a huge, wide-open world. The challenge here isn't about getting through tight corridors. It's about keeping your sense of direction when there are hardly any landmarks to guide you. Or on the complete flip side, you could find yourself in the forest space. This is the total opposite, a dense, tangled world where the corridors are like tunnels made of roots. And get this, your path can actually leave permanent scars on the world, creating a living map of your memory. And then there's the belly space. This one is tight, claustrophobic, it feels very visceral. The maze here is made of tunnels that can actually squeeze shut on you, turning bottlenecks into these literal physical contractions. But here's the thing. You're not always exploring these worlds you've built all by yourself. To make things even more interesting, the system throws an AI into the mix to play right alongside you, creating this really cool space for coevolution. So in this whole ecosystem, there are actually three different players on the board. You've got you, the human player. You have a pure AI player that's been trained on the game. And then you have the most fascinating one of all, the virtual offspring, which is a hybrid of you and the AI. Yeah, this virtual offspring, it's not just a simple mix. It acts like a ghost in your game. It's this shadow agent that shows up in your maze, and it navigates the world using a strategy that's part your own tendencies and part the AI's cold, hard logic. Sometimes it helps you out, other times it might just get in your way. So what's the end game here? What's the ultimate goal of this whole system? Well, it's to move beyond just measuring how good you are at something and start mapping your style, creating that detailed, nuanced signature of how you approach problems. And the system does this by categorizing your gameplay into these different solution styles. So, for example, if you're the type of person who builds really neat, clean stacks in Tetris, you might be an architect, and your mazes will end up being really orderly with these long, vertical shafts. But if you're always trying new paths in that flux phase, you're an explorer, and your mazes will be super branched out. Or maybe you're a flow runner, someone who just gets into a rhythm, and you'll create these smooth, continuous hallways. And this is really why this all matters. Tetris Maze is way more than just a clever game. It's a potential new tool for researchers, a dynamic sandbox for them to study how we think, how creativity actually works, and how humans and AI can learn from each other and even shape each other's behavior. It creates this really unique environment where you're basically co-evolving with an algorithmic reflection of yourself. You're not just playing against a computer. You're walking through a world you created side by side with a shadow that is part you and part algorithm. Which, leaves us with one final kind of mind-bending thought. If the unique spatial signature of your mind, your habits, your rhythms, your choices when you're under pressure, if all of that was turned into a physical landscape, what would you see? What would your world actually look like?